Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 4 of IAE. So, apologies, my day 3 video was late. It is still completely relevant because I told you not to buy the CCU anyway, so you can't get that anymore, but it was a bad CCU anyway, and all of those ships are still for sale as of the recording of this video. So if you're watching this on day 4 of IAE, the day 3 video is still relevant. All my opinions are still relevant, and the CCU was bad anyway. But yeah, all that happened is I typed the wrong day into, well, actually what happens is YouTube, they put the next day as the default setting rather than the current day. I have no idea why they do that, but that's the default setting. So I forgot to change the default setting to the day prior. So that's what happened. But video's still relevant. Go watch it. But to everybody else, hey, welcome. This is day 4. It's Alien Day. Gatac, Aopoa, Banu, and Esperia. And somebody already leaked it to me that there's a really good CCU depending on what you need. But it's pretty good CCU, which makes up kind of for the yesterday's CCU. But as always, if you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. If you are subscribed, consider hitting that join button and get that 25% possibility of winning whatever our ship of the month is. And this month's ship is the Starlancer TAC. It's a really, really good ship, if you ask me. So that's why I wanted to give that one away. And next month, we're giving away something real nice. So you want to be subscribed this month, because if you're not subscribed this month and you try to subscribe next month in December, you're not going to qualify. So be subscribed. This is the time. If you haven't done it, this is the time. All right, let's get into Alien Day. There's not very many ships on Alien Day, and even more so, not a whole lot of ships I would recommend on Alien Day for most things. But if you like unique ships, and that's what I really think Alien Day is all about, it's about the unique ships. If you want a ship that, like, everybody has an F7 Hornet, like, I want something a little different. They have their own little quirks and features, but really, when you're getting an alien ship, it's about getting something different. It's not really about how functional it is, even though they are functional. It's more so about, I want to do something a little different. I want a little bit of a different experience, okay? So with that in mind, let's get to it. Let's start with Gatac, which got 2. All right, so the Raylan, I actually think both of these vehicles are great. Both of them are 2 of the coolest looking ships in the entire game. I'm pretty sure that if you gave me the opportunity to create a spaceship, I would not come up with either one of these designs. That's how unique they are. That's just me. But yeah, I love both of these ships. The Sulian is a great starter ship. However, there are better starter ships and cheaper starter ships. So again, this is more so, I want a starter ship that's a little bit different, not so much you're getting it for the utility, even though it does have some utility. It carries 6 SCU, but they've all got to be 1 SCU boxes. It has a bed in it. It has a very unique way of flying. I like the ship. I think it should have been $60, but at this price, I can understand it's not that big of a difference if you just want something different. Yeah, and I really like this. I really like the looks of this ship, but it's more looks focused than actual utility. But I did do a review on it, so go check that out if you want a more in-depth analysis. The Raylan, on the other hand, I think is a great ship to purchase. Now, these little triangle things on the back are kind of like what you see on the Hull C, or any of the Hull series, where it stores the boxes on the outside. However, it has an internal layout. So it's weird. They have the triangular boxes, but you'll be putting the boxes that you have, like 32 SCU. I don't know what I'm assuming 32 SCU. You put a 32 SCU box inside one of the triangular things, and then it closes up. So your cargo isn't like completely opened up like it is with the Hull C. You have a little enclosure over it. So that just keeps people from being able to steal it, right off the side of your Hull C. But the Raylan has it to where it's inside. So that means it also has a little bit of protection, not just from people being able to steal it, but like a little bit of armor protection. Now, we don't know how much that's going to be, but you'll definitely have to break it open or hack it open in order to get that sweet, sweet cargo that's inside. So that's one of the things I think is very unique. There's no other ship that does that right now. It's a really cool idea. And if you go and look at the internals, well, I did a whole review on it, so I won't go that crazy, but the internals of it are pretty cool and pretty unique. It's really going to set the Gatac Manufacturer up as, I think, one of the coolest manufacturers. As far as design, they're in my top 5. But yeah, really cool ship. 320 SCU of cargo. It's meant to be a blockade runner. It's a cargo hauler. And yeah, it's a ship that you could live on. I think it's 3 or 4. It's either 3 or 4 crew. It's got 2 size 4 turrets. So it's not really a weapons platform. It's really a get there fast. It's one of the larger ships that can get there fast and get your cargo there safely. That's really what it's about. It's for the person who wants a different type of cargo hauler or is looking for something in the 300 SCU range that is really, there's not a whole lot of ships that are $225 or less that can carry 300 SCU of cargo. So there you have it. All right, moving on. Let's go to Aopoa. So Aopoa has 3 vehicles, the Cartual, well, 2 ships and 1 vehicle. It has the Cartual, it has the Nox, and it has the Santak Yai. So let's start with actually, let's start with the Nox. The Nox, it is interesting because I like the way the Nox looks more than any of the other speeders, or what do you call them? I'm calling them speeders because Star Wars. But really, I think it's biggest, it's coolest, it's the coolest hover vehicle. That's the way I should say that. But the being the coolest hover vehicle is pretty much all I can really give it. There are faster hover vehicles, even though this is meant for racing, but there are faster ones. There are more maneuverable hover vehicles, but this kind of straddles that line a little bit. So at $45, I still like it, just because of how cool looking it is. And honestly, I think if anybody is getting a hover vehicle like this, they're probably getting it because of how cool it is anyway. So it's to me, it's out of, if I was to say which is the coolest hover vehicle, this is the coolest hover vehicle. But that's the only award that I can really give it. It's more so something you buy just because you like it, not really because of its utility. But it does have some utility, so I'm not saying it's completely useless, right? But yeah, I did a review on it, so go check that out. But yeah, it's 45 bucks. So if you have an extra 45 bucks laying around, I could see why somebody would get it, but I wouldn't personally get it. And we'll do the Cartual. So the Cartual, and then we'll do the Santak Yai last. So the Cartual is all about it's all about speed and maneuverability. This thing can turn on a dime. Actually, both of them can. This one and the Santak Yai. So the Cartual it's really maneuverable, but you know, if you lose those wings, it starts to, it becomes very difficult to handle. And it's the same for the Santak Yai a little bit. But yeah, they're all about speed and getting away from the target, moving in closer, getting around the target. But the weapons are kind of undersized, and it's not a tough ship at all. So you lose weapons, you lose the weapon major weapon capability, and you lose the toughness in order to get that speed and maneuverability. Which, if that's what you need, then great. If you're really accurate and you play more defensively, where it's like you fly away and you try to dodge shots and you like to get in close and get your shots off and then go back to dodging. If you're more of a defensive fighter, this would definitely be for you. The Santak Yai. So it's a little bit tougher than its brother, the Cartual. However, it's also, if you look at these prices, you can see it's a significant difference. The Santak Yai is the one that I want more. I want the Santak Yai. Same thing as far as speed and maneuverability, except at the medium fighter stage, so it's not as fast and maneuverable as its brother because that's more of a light fighter class, but this is a medium fighter. But yeah, this is for the person who wants something different. It does make an annoying sound. I don't know if it still makes that sound since the last time I reviewed it, but it does make a kind of odd sound. So just be aware that if you are buying a Santak Yai, there's a weird sound that comes out of it. Now, in the future, they may make it to where you could turn that off, but it does kind of have that weird sound. And on top of that, again, still not as tough as some of the other medium fighters, but as far as speed and maneuverability, it's normally in the top 5. So that's what you're really getting out of these. You're not getting a ton of firepower. You're getting the more pilot-based experience, where it's how fast can you move over here and how fast can you yaw and pitch, and can you get behind them and then get your shots off. So that's really what I think people should focus on when you're looking at Aopoa ships, is speed and maneuverability. Those are what you're getting when you're looking at Aopoa. As far as we know so far, that's what we've got. All right, now we're going to Banu. Well, actually, we'll do Banu last. Let's go to Esperia. Oh, all right. We'll do Esperia next. Esperia, 5 vehicles. All right, let's just start where we're at. The Blade, it is a great looking fighter. It's one of, I think, as far as fighters, like you'll be hard pressed to find cooler looking fighters than this, but it needs some balancing. So it's fast. It's been balanced a lot of ways. It's been super fast. It's been super maneuverable. So it just needs more balancing. I think everything else about it is kind of appropriate, except the price. It is $275, which is way too much to be spending on a fighter, especially a light fighter. So that's my only issue with it. But when it's all said and done, folks, I do think the Blade is going to be like top 3 best light fighters in the game. So do with that what you will. The Glaive. Now, the Glaive and the, let me see, where is it at? I don't know why they don't put these together. Oh, yeah, you can't, my bad. You can't buy the Scythe, my bad. I was thinking of the Scythe, which is, the Scythe is just the Glaive, but with one of the arms instead. So I'll talk about the Scythe, which, again, I think the Scythe is, there's some very unique circumstance in order to buy the Scythe. I'll put that up on screen. But yeah, the Scythe and the Glaive are basically the same ship, except the Scythe has like one of the arms and the Glaive has both of the arms. And you have to fulfill certain conditions to even be able to buy these, which I believe is you have to beat like Vandal Swarm or something like that. But yeah, like I said, I'll put it up on the screen. But the Glaive, I can't recommend it now, but I do think the Glaive is going to end up again being one of the best medium fighters in the game. And this is, it's weird to say because I'm saying like Vandal's pretty much, I mean, well, Esperia is really going to, they're really gonna try to corner the market on fighters. Now, like I'm saying, I think they'll be top, both of these will be top 3, the Blade and the Glaive. And the Scythe will probably be just under that. But it's $350, and you're paying that for a medium fighter. So you have to really, really be like, fighting is my main goal. Fighting is the only thing I do. And there's people out there who their whole thing is, all I want to do in this game is dogfight. And if you're one of those people, spending $350 on one of these is the same as like somebody like me buying an Endeavor for $350, because that's the gameplay you want. So the value is relative. And that's the only thing I'll say about it, because I know most people are just going to tell you it's overpriced and move on. But it's not overpriced if that's your primary goal. And if, big if, it ends up being as powerful as I think it will. Is it overpriced now? I think so. For what you get, I don't think you're getting $350 worth now. But I think the Glaive is more of an investment in its future capability than it is in its current capability. And the same thing with the Blade. So with that being said, I'm not 100% sure if you can even CCU to the glaive. So I don't even think you can just get a CCU to the glaive and sit on it. But if you can, I would say pick one up. And the same thing with the blade, because again, I think the meta on these might actually change. At the same time, if you don't pick up a CCU, I think you'll also be all right, because I don't think the price of either one of these is going to go up, because it's already pretty high. At least not anytime soon. But it might go up after they get their gold passes. So, but we have no idea when that's going to be. It looks like the artwork is already done, so I don't even know what we're waiting on. But yeah, that's my blade, glaive, scythe, all 3-in-1. The Prowler. So, I've been waiting to talk about this ship. There's a war bond. There was a war bond to this, which was actually a decent war bond. It wasn't great. It was decent. But more importantly, the Prowler. The Prowler is one of those ships that is so overpriced that it makes you question whether CIG is actually paying attention to the prices they're putting on the ships. But at the same time, there's no other ship like it. It has 2 size 5s, if I'm not mistaken. It has a crap ton of armor. It's stealth, and it is a dedicated dropship. It has no other purpose outside of like its ability to like shoot things. And it is the largest stealth ship that we have. So it's extremely unique, but it's also overpriced. $440 for this is a lot. If there's ever been a ship that has tried to convince you that there is an alien tax, it is the Prowler. But it's also one of the coolest ships in the game. So it's like, and I'm pretty sure this one was designed by Elwin Batchelor, who's one of my favorite folks at CIG. I'm mad I couldn't meet him at CitizenCon, but I'm not 100% sure he was even at that CitizenCon. So I don't know. But yeah, the Prowler, it's hard to talk about, because if you want one of the coolest ships in the game, this is going to be one of them. Even since this thing has come out, which I think was 2018 or 2019, since this thing has come out, there have been very few ships that have come out after it that can say that they are cooler looking than the Prowler. And that counts for something, folks. I know people are like, it's still $440 and it doesn't have as much utility, but having one of the coolest looking ships in the game counts for something. Whatever that is, I can't tell you, but it does count for something. Would I buy the Prowler? At the very end of my ship purchasing legacy, you know, I think I'm going to end up with 30 ships or something like that, and then like 5 vehicles. If I have 30 ships and 5 vehicles, and I have $400 in credits, I would get a Prowler. It's the very, very last ship that I would get. But at the same time, I know I won't use it that often. It'll really just be to fly it around, because it is a joy to fly. But in those unique situations where you do need a drop ship and you need that to do a stealth drop, it's really, really good. And yeah, it's as far as drop ships, I don't think you're gonna find a better drop ship as far as like pure drop ship, no vehicles, none of that other stuff. I just need to put people on a location. But that's all it can do. It's capable in a fight, not great in a fight. The Valkyrie is the much better value. And some people even like the way the Valkyrie looks more. I disagree. I think the Prowler looks better, but I do like the look of the Valkyrie. So it's really all about the rule of cool here. If you want perhaps the coolest looking ship in the entire game, you're gonna pay for it. And that's really what you're paying for here. However, I will say, I wouldn't, how can I say this? The Prowler is one of those ships where a variant, I think, is highly likely. I think a variant to the Prowler is highly, I'm gonna go very highly likely. Extremely likely, if you will. So don't sleep on the Prowler's future, is all I'll say. The Talon. So I'll do the Talon and the Talon Shrike together. The Talon Shrike is the, it's basically what the Firebird is in a light fighter. But it can't shoot as many missiles. So it can't shoot as many missiles at the same time as the Firebird. Now, somebody had said that stealth gameplay isn't really that great right now, and I'm like, most gameplay isn't really that great right. That's what my response should have been. Like, I'm not. When I talk about stealth, I just want to be very clear that when I talk about stealth gameplay, I'm talking about the future of stealth gameplay, when signatures and all that stuff will actually matter very much, and when you'll have to ping to find people, and it's not just like, oh, they popped up on our radar. Like when that stuff is fully implemented. It's not fully implemented, mind you. It's not fully implemented because we don't even have stealth components for every size, and the stealth components may or may not even actually reduce your signature. So it's definitely not fully in the game right now. We're completely dependent on the full stealth stats of the hull of the ship that you're trying to purchase. So it's not fully implemented. But in the future, I think stealth gameplay is going to be great. But the Talon and the Shrike, they're probably my favorite light fighters. And I say that as a person who does not own them, because I can't really justify putting them in my specific fleet. Because I just won't need them. I just won't need them because they're too big. I prefer ships that I can fit into other ships, so I went with the Razor EX for my light fighter. But the Talon, because the Razor EX can both act as a snub because of how small it is, and act as a light fighter. So it covers both of those sections for me. And the Talon is purely light fighter. If you want the guns, you go with the Talon. If you want the missiles, you go with the Talon Shrike. Yeah, the skins on these things are amazing. It's, again, coolest looking ship. Esperia is real. They really outdo themselves with the looks of their ships. Like, these are all so cool looking. Like, not a single one of these is ugly. This is the old, by the way, this is the old model of the Glaive. I still think the old model of the Glaive is really cool looking, but this is the old model. The new model looks closer to this actually, except bigger. So yeah, I think they really nailed the bird of prey type of look. And that's really, I think when you're looking at these manufacturers, Gatac and Esperia, it seems like, are more about the beauty of the ship, with Esperia focusing on combat and Gatac focusing on utility. Aopoa, I think, Aopoa is more about speed and maneuverability, but I do think all three of these ships look great too. And then Banu. We'll end on Banu, which has the merchantman upgrade, which I looked at. It's $650 for a merchantman, right? If you this takes $50 off of that, so it's a $50 CCU, but you have to pay $25 to get it, because the closest ship to that $600 price is the Arastra and Liberator. So that's the trade-off. You have to pay $25 to get $50 off. So it may be worth it to some people. I'll probably pick up 2 or 3 of them just because I often find myself in need of a $50 CCU and unable to find one. So yeah, I'll probably get 2 or 3 of them just because I'll just need to save those. So that's just me. But there's only 2 Banu ships, the Defender and the Merchantman. Let's start with the Defender. The Defender is constantly middle of the road. It's not a bad light fighter, but it's not a great light fighter. It is constantly normal, but the look of it, it's a crab and it's got 2 seats. It's a light fighter with 2 seats, 2 beds. It needs a little bit of a rework on the interior, I think. The interior is cool, but it's very outdated. And it needs to give the secondary pilot a little bit more to do. So I do think it'll get a gold pass. It is a gold ship after all. But it does need a little bit of work to really be able to be, there's a lot of people, Defender lovers out there. It's got great skins, it's got great looks. It just needs a little bit more. It's like right on the cusp of good or even greatness, but it's just missing like one thing. But if you got one, it's a little expensive, but I do think in the long run, it will justify its own price. The Merchantman, one of my favorite ships. What can I say? I don't think it's coming anytime soon. I have fully dashed those hopes and dreams. So at this point, I am one of the Merchantman conspiracy theorists who thinks that it's not coming until 2028. Yeah, I think, well, I would say 2027 is the earliest we would get it. That's what it looks like to me, because there's no way that if in the next 12 months they wouldn't have said, we're putting the Merchantman on there. I don't think this is going to be a surprise ship. I used to think it could, but now I'm like, nah. And now I think they're focusing on the game loops that are most important to getting 4.0, 1.0, and everything out the door. So I don't think that the Merchantman will come anytime soon. The Merch is one of those ships that I think when it comes out, it's going to kind of upset the delicate balance of the game. It is obviously a merchant ship. You can sell things on it. That's what people focus on the most. But what people fail to focus on is how it's going to be extremely defensive as a ship, how it's going to have PDCs, how it's going to have capital class parts, how it's going to be gigantic, how it's going to be able to land on planets, how it's going to have size 8 weapons. It's going to have other massive weapons. It's going to be one of the coolest looking interiors of any ship, if not the single coolest interior of any ship. It's gonna have the ability to like let people like stay on the ship with you. Not just the crew, but like a mini hotel area. It's got the coolest, by far, the coolest turret entrance of any ship in the game. And we already know that. It's cool on so many levels that it's hard to hate on it. It's really hard. Like, and it's at 650, it's still underpriced. It's probably gonna go up again, to be completely honest with you. It'll probably end up being 750. I wouldn't be surprised if this ship ends up being $750 when it's all said and done. 650, I mean, I get it. There's people that got it at like 325 or 350 when it first came out. But so a lot of people gained money, right? Because now they could upgrade their Merchantman to something else and get that money, right? But man, the Merchantman is so good. It is so good. And it's not even out yet. Like, I can only imagine what this ship is gonna do to upset, like I said, upset the balance. Because if you have a large ship that's capable of combat, can it beat a Merchantman, which does much more than combat? Maybe if you have a Polaris and an Idris, that question's a little bit easier to answer. But can a Perseus beat it? Perseus doesn't have a size 8 weapon. Can a Hammerhead beat it? Hammerheads are mainly focused on fighters. I'm not saying this ship is better than those ships. I want to be very clear. I'm just saying it's going to do so much that I think it's going to create questions about whether you should own both. That's all I'm saying. But I'm still going to own my Perseus. I have both a Perseus and a Merchantman. So that should tell you what I think. But I'll wait, because I do think one thing that we do as Star Citizens, we put way too much hope in the Banu Merchantman, and it's just going to be a good ship. We put way too much hope in it, but that's not our fault. CIG has hyped the heck out of that ship, so it's not just us. Yeah, so that is it. We did Gatac, Aopoa, Esperia, and then Banu. A few ships for sale, a decent war bond if you need it. $50 war bonds are all the rage these days. I do think, to be completely honest with you, I think most war bonds are worth purchasing until you find a better one. So or unless you already have a better one. So I'm one of the people that I buy them all in hopes that I'll find a better one, and I don't apply them until it's necessary or until the ship is in the game. So yeah, there's no reason to apply them until the ship that you actually want is in the game, or the ship you're trying to get to. So that's my theory on that. Next up, and again, sorry for the late video for the other day. Again, it happens when you do as many YouTube videos as I do, and you're as busy in life as I am. Mistakes are made. But tomorrow's the day, folks. Tomorrow is the day where we find out if the Polaris has went up in price. But I have a few RSI ships that I need to pick up. As always, any RSI limited ships, which I don't know. Let me add that in here. So it looks like the RSI only really has the Phoenix available as far as hull limited ships. So 11 a.m., 7 p.m., and 3 a.m. the following day as far as the ship sale. So yeah, pretty cool, actually, because I was thinking like, I don't know why my brain was like, hey, there's way more RSI ships that are quantity limited, but there isn't. It's just the Phoenix, which is weird now that I think about it. It's kind of weird. We have RSI capital ships, but they're not limited. So very interesting. But, you know, maybe the Polaris will jump into that space here soon. I guess we have to wait till tomorrow to find out. So yeah, that's it for this one. I'll see you in the next one. And this one will be on time. Peace.